Hello and welcome to Dunkeswell Kart Club on the 26th of May 2024. It's time for round 4 of the Blue Challenge. The karts are lined up on the grid ready for a 10-minute plus a lap final this afternoon, which will be contested under very wet conditions. It's been raining all day, and let's see how things fare for the drivers. Already in the books today we have the first 3 heats to set the grid for the final. Heat 1 would look like this. It's a win on track from pole position from James Dawkins, leading home Paul Alexander by less than a second. Jamie Watson, his first Formula Blue race since 2007, would make a charge up to third, ahead of fellow returnee Russell O'Neill, who's been out of the kart for a year and a bit. Callum Jobson comes next to make up the top 5 ahead of Alex Fortune and Ron Schoen, with David Waldron, Harry Smithson and Anthony Cleal rounding out the top 10. James Dawkins will make it 2 for 2 with a win in the second heat, once again leading home Jamie Watts. Max Gunter rounding out the podium ahead of Anthony Cleal, and Callum Jobson once again making the top 5. Joey Foster, the new O-plate, would be in 6th position with the fastest lap ahead of Rob Mortimer, Russell O'Neill, Steve Groves and Anthony Lee making up the top 10. And the O-plate Joey Foster would take the win in Heat 3 ahead of Anthony Cleal and Max Gunter. Callum Jobson once again with a strong performance, and Alex Kemp rounding out the top 5. Jamie Watts would charge through to 6th place ahead of Alex Fortune, David Good, Russell O'Neill and David Waldron, and that would round out the top 10 for the 3 heats of the day. And that would set up the grid, and number 61 Jamie Watts, despite his back of the grid starts, would line up on pole position. Alongside him on the front row is Callum Jobson ahead of Anthony Cleal, and the new O-plate Joey Foster, all separated by a point apiece. Russell O'Neill makes up the top 5 ahead of James Dawkins, with Max Gunter and Paul Alexander on row 4. Alex Fortune and Ron Schoen would make up the top 10 ahead of David Waldron and Alex Kemp. Steve Groves would take the edge off of Rob Mortimer by tiebreak ahead of David Good. Anthony Lee, Paul Wheeler, Leanne McShane, Joe Joseph, Harry Smithson, Dean Smithers and Phil Shears would make up the entry list. And as you can see there, a problem getting started for the O-plate Joey Foster, and the pack is already round Hanger Bend. Going to be backing up into their 2x2 formation. Let's see if Foster can catch up. You can hear him just going behind the camera. It is Watts and Jobson on the front row, and the arms are up. They're going round once again. So the wave around must be to allow Joey Foster to catch up to the back of the pack, and there he is. So Foster will begin to pick his way through to take his second row start. You can see there was another car in the back there. It's not quite got up to speed yet. We'll have to see who that is. And that's number 48. That's David Good struggling, potentially oiling up, so hoping to clear the plug and get back into the race himself. As Foster there starts to pick his way through, as we hop on board with Foster's teammate Alex Kemp looking backwards. And Joey Foster's going to slot into position. Jamie Watts and Callum Jobson have kept things in the 2x2 rolling formation, so we will be going this lap as the pack up towards Hanger. We're on board with Max Gunter. He is in 7th place on the grid. Rounding Hanger Bend we go. You can see even at this speed the spray going up everywhere. The further back you start, the less visibility you have, and you can see somebody's not got going up at Hanger. There's a problem for somebody, one of the karts, but we're going to the lights now. Look, keep an eye on Jamie Watts, keep an eye on Callum Jobson. Jobson looking at Watts. Watts going to accelerate, puts his foot down, the lights go out, and we're underway, and the cloud of spray rises. Jamie Watts leads into turn 1 ahead of Anthony Cleal. James Dawkins trying to sneak up the inside. It's going to be 4 of them attacking for second, and there's a big group behind as well, but Jamie Watts leads the way ahead of Cleal, Jobson, Foster going around the outside, Dawkins tucked in as well. That's Russell O'Neill being attacked by Max Gunter, and Paul Alexander's got through ahead of all of them. Quick wipe of the visor, I don't think that's going to do you much good in these conditions, Paul, but now down towards the exit of the loop. That is James Dawkins up the inside of Callum Jobson, several other moving and shaking positions behind, but as we exit the loop it's Watts, Cleal, Foster, Dawkins, Jobson, Alexander, Gunter, O'Neill. Ron Schoen comes next ahead of Alex Fortune and Alex Kemp, as it is Anthony Lee who we've lost on that second rolling lap, stranded up at Hanger Bend, but a great place to watch the racing as Dean Smithers there bouncing out of his seat to try and get rid of the bog. He's trying to make up positions early, already up past Steve Groves, but the pack across to finish the first lap And down into pit bend, you can see there the first four are starting to break away. Down the inside, David Waldron battling with Rob Mortimer in the spray. But into the complex, Watts, Cleel, Foster, Dawkins, then it's Jobson, Max Gunter sliding around. Likewise Alex Kemp, and that is Dean Smithers down the inside of Paul Wheeler further back. We'll have to see if he makes that move to completion. But at the end of the back straight there into the hairpin. Waldron once again to the inside. This is against Alex Kemp, but Kemp gets the drive out. And that's Joey Foster really getting squirrely on the back of Anthony Cleel as the pack exits the loop once more. And out of hanger, Foster and Cleel going into battle once again. Foster to the inside to the chicane, backs out of it. Through the chicane they go, through the big puddle onto the start-finish straight. And there's Max Gunter all over the back of Paul Alexander, still through the splash zone. And Gunter starting to gain, but we reach the braking point. Several viable lines through the first turn there. That's Alex Fortune taking a very wide line. It's where a lot of the grip is, but it's also travelling a lot further. Tends to spit you out very quickly. And Fortune there still holding off Alex Kemp, as that's Dean Smithers down the inside of Rob Mortimer, this time with the white bodywork. And Smithers up another place, and Max Gunter on the attack of Paul Alexander. Tony Cart battling the red speed. Back up to the front. The O-plate Joey Foster into the back of Anthony Cleel there, it looked like. Foster really getting a good drive off that bend. But just ahead of them, Jamie Watts gets the power down. Top three breaking away from James Dawkins and Callum Jobson. Then a battle in behind, Alexander, Gunter and Russell O'Neill. And further back, Alex Fortune all over the back of Ron Schoen. And then it starts the train that encompasses most of the rest of the pack. And Alex Fortune really looking to set up for a good exit as we hop on board with Alex Kemp. David Waldron behind us has got a better exit, and Waldron peeking his nose out towards the inside of turn one. Much tighter line by Waldron, but Kemp looking to get the drive out. They're being closed up on by Dean Smithers. But back up ahead at the first hairpin. There's Smithers attacking David Waldron. Further back, Paul Wheeler with the big slide, and Steve Groves looking to hang on with the orange helmet in the Cosmic. But there is Alex Fortune all over the back of Ron Schoen as they head down the back straight. Fortune going for the outside manoeuvre. We'll have to see if it pays off. No, it doesn't this time, but Fortune's going to get the run up towards Hanger Bend. He's going to go round the outside of the kinks. Who's going to emerge from behind the wall first? It's going to be Fortune. And in the all-black, Alex Fortune passes Ron Schoen. Further back, Dean Smithers has overtaken David Waldron, but back up to the front, it's still Watts, Cleel and Foster. There's James Dawkins in a solid fourth ahead of Callum Jobson, and here comes Max Gunter attacking the red speed of Paul Alexander. And then in behind the two Alexes and Ron Schoen into pit bend. We're on board with Alex Kemp, and to our left, that's Ron Schoen getting overtaken. Down into the complex, they're going to go three wide. Fortune going very wide, Kemp in the middle. Ron Schoen goes for the tight line. We'll see who comes out ahead. But back up for second, Anthony Cleel spun, and he spun right in front of Foster. There's going to have been more contact there, but they've both lost a lot of time to Jamie Watts, and Cleel has held the lead on Foster. Further back though, Max Gunter all over the back of Paul Alexander. And even further back, that's Alex Kemp's gotten ahead of Alex Fortune as they both ahead of Ron Schoen. But just up the road, that battle for sixth is hotting up. Meanwhile, Dean Smithers to the inside, and Smithers up another place. Ron Schoen getting a bit squirrely on exit. He's going to be under attack from David Waldron next. Nothing doing into the chicane though, things stay status quo. There's Steve Groves still chasing down Paul Wheeler as we are at the complex. Callum Jobson touches the curb on the way in, but here comes Max Gunter launching a move from a long way back. He's going to make the pass. Paul Alexander's going to try the switch back. Doesn't make it as they go down the back straight. Russell O'Neill in there as well, and look at the run Alexander's got off the corner. Down the exit of the loop, Paul Alexander's to the inside, going to lock up, and Russell O'Neill's going to sweep past the pair of them. Max Gunter losing 2 places in one there, and Paul Alexander up the inside. Russell O'Neill going for the run out, but he doesn't get it. Paul Alexander gets to the grippy line first, and he's going to stay ahead of that pack. And there's a problem for Dean Smithers as the Gillard going slowly down the towards the hangar, staying out of everybody's way, but back up to the front. Jamie Watts still has that gap ahead of Anthony Cleal, and Joey Foster are still battling away. But back to the battle for 6th. Russell O'Neill right in the slipstream of Paul Alexander. He's going to shoot out towards the inside of pit bend. Alexander goes for a wide line. Got a good drive out as we hop on board with Max Gunter. They're wheel to wheel now into the complex. Russell O'Neill down the inside. Max Gunter's going to follow him through. And Gunter ahead of Alexander. And he's going to look to try and get the run out against Russell O'Neill. But Paul Alexander with the big exit. They're 3 wide down the back straight. Russell O'Neill looked to have gone in the deepest there. We'll have to see when they come back into frame. It's Gunter ahead of Alexander and O'Neill, and Alexander back to the inside immediately. These 3 are having an amazing battle, and there's someone looking to join the fun. That's Alex Kemp closing in from behind. Up at Hangar Bend we are, and Max Gunter seems to have finally gotten a gap. Paul Alexander sliding, Russell O'Neill looking to get in on that. Further back, David Waldron up on the back bumper of Alex Fortune. Then comes Shone, Mortimer and Paul Wheeler and Steve Groves in battle at the back of this pack. But down across the start, another lap. Russell O'Neill once again to the inside of pit bend. Once again slots in front of Paul Alexander, but we'll have to see where they are on exit. Meanwhile, the back straight, Jamie Watts opening that gap up still. And Joey Foster using every inch of the circuit and maybe even a little bit of the grass there, getting all of the back of Cleal. Then there's Dawkins and Jobson getting closer with each other. But once again, Foster gets the run out. But once again, Cleal manages to block the line. There's still status quo. As further back now, we're at the exit of the loop. Ron shown ahead of Rob Mortimer. Then there's Wheeler and Groves in behind. As into the final chicane, the battle for 2nd really hotting up. Joey Foster looking to line up an exit, and he's got it. Uses a bit of slipstream. Looking to the inside, thinks better of it. Round pit bend. The number 1 versus the O plate. Further back now, this is the battle for 7th. Paul Alexander hits the curb. Russell O'Neill's going to have to run. Alex Kemp's in there as well. And here's the Ron Shown battle. Rob Mortimer tucked up tight behind, and here comes Paul Wheeler looking to get a good exit. But side by side down the back straight. Foster to the inside against Cleal. He's going to slide wide. Cleal's going to get the cut back. And once again, Anthony Cleal emerges ahead, but this is the point of the track where Foster looks the strongest. He's going to go for a wider line. Tighter on exit, gets the drive, and Anthony Cleal up onto the curb by the looks of it, and Joey Foster makes the pass for 2nd. Doesn't have much time left now, but can he set off after Jamie Watts? Meanwhile, further back, Rob Mortimer looking at the inside of Ron Shown. But he's run such a tight line that Paul Wheeler's got a very strong exit, looking to try and go all the way around the outside as they exit the loop. You can see Wheeler looking to do the same thing that Joey Foster's just done. Doesn't quite manage it. Rob Mortimer holds the place for now as they head up round Hangar Bend. Mortimer trying to attack and defend at the same time. Wheeler on the attack as well, and Steve Groves looking for any opportunity. As we go down now towards pit bend once more, Russell O'Neill still on the table of Paul Alexander. As the last lap board is out, so only half a lap to go for the leaders. There's a struggling David Good and Jamie Watts catching him up. Good points him through though, aware driving there, and Jamie Watts now up towards Hangar Bend. Joey Foster there has made noticeable indent of that gap on the last lap, but it's not going to be enough. Cleal's there for 3rd as well, but into the chicane, through the left, through the right now onto the exit. These cross the line. Jamie Watts takes the win in his first Formula Blue final since 2007. Joey Foster finishes right behind him, ahead of Anthony Cleal, but there's still plenty of racing to be done. Russell O'Neill backing off a touch to get the run into the chicane, looking to get a good exit and see if he can beat Paul Alexander to the line. It's not going to happen. Alexander holds him off. I'm very happy Alex Kemp finishes in behind. Here's the Ron Shown train. They're going through the chicane. Rob Mortimer looking to get the run on Shown. Groves looking to get the run on Wheeler. Didn't see who managed to make it. They were somewhere in the spray. But nonetheless, all across the line. As the pack heads now down towards the pit lane. There on the left of shot, you see Leanne McShane coming across the line in the Mad Croc. And you can see good respect there shown. Alex Kemp and Paul Alexander fist bumping down the back straight. As here comes Joe Joseph in the Birrell to complete our finishers. And the results will be declared. Jamie Watts takes the victory here this afternoon, 3 seconds ahead of Anthony Cleal. Joey Foster would be on the receiving end of a 5-second penalty, which would drop him to third. James Dawkins and Callum Jobson would complete the top 5 ahead of Paul Alexander and Russell O'Neill. Max Gunter would also be on the receiving end of a 5-second drop nose penalty, which would drop him to 8th ahead of Alex Kemp and Alex Fortune. David Waldron finishes next ahead of Ron Schoen, Rob Mortimer, Paul Wheeler and Steve Groves completes the top 15. Leanne McShane and Joe Joseph would round out the lead lap drivers ahead of David Good. Dean Smithers and Anthony Lee would not take the finish ahead of Harry Smithson and Phil Shears. And what that would do to the championship standings, Joey Foster moves to the top of the table ahead of Anthony Cleal. James Dawkins would be in third ahead of Callum Jobson, only 2 points separating each other between Cleal, Dawkins and Jobson. Steve Groves moves up to 5th ahead of Stuart Gray with Harry Smithson, Max Gunter, Alex Fortune and Rob Mortimer rounding out the top 10. Alex Kemp comes next ahead of Leanne McShane, David Waldron, Ron Schoen and Paul Alexander, with Anthony Lee, Joe Joseph, Scott Lay, Paul Wheeler and Rich Puddle would be completing the top 20. That's all for this afternoon from Dunkeswell Kart Club. We will see you again very soon, but until then, goodbye.